Hey, what is up guys? It is Needle. Today's video I'll be doing a tutorial for you guys, showing you guys how to do 90s on controller, and this is going to apply to anybody that's PS4, Xbox, or if you use your controller on PC. This is going to be the easiest way to do 90s. I'll cover a couple things. Mainly though, it's just going to be what is the purpose of 90s and why do people want to do them to begin with. Then I'll kind of go in more in depth about like tips and where you should be putting your floors down, your ramps down, kind of just the orders the build should go down, and then just kind of the movement you need to learn for your thumbstick if you are on controller. We'll cover all of that in a bit. And if you guys like the video at any point or just enjoy educational Fortnite content for controller players, just helping you guys be better controller players all around and hang with people on keyboard and mouse, please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, to start the tutorial on how to actually do proper 90s and how to do faster 90s on controller, I do want to get a few things out of the way. The first thing being, what is the point of 90s and why is everyone always hyping them up? Well, a 90 is just a way to keep building up and hold your momentum while you're taking high ground. So it basically just means building while doing a 90-degree rotation every time. So as you guys can see in the clips in the background, I'm just doing 90s to the sky. It's a pretty simple move here, and all you really have to do is just learn the movement and the way to place the builds, the order to place them, and overall it's going to be a lot easier if you haven't done 90s in the past. The first thing when it comes to doing 90s on controller is making sure you have the right settings on. So if you don't play claw or you don't have paddles on your controller, don't worry, there's still a solution for you because you do need to be able to build and move your right stick at the same time while you're aiming in. So it's going to combine everything. So you're going to be able to jump, build, and move at the same time. So if you don't already, make sure to have your proper binds on if you don't play claw or you don't have paddles. I'll link my video down in the description on how to be able to shoot, aim, build, edit all at the same time with the right binds. So I'll link that down in the description. Go check that out to make sure you have the right settings on and the right binds on. It isn't impossible to do 90s if you're just using the standard grip on your controller and don't have any custom binds, but it will be a lot harder and you're going to notice yourself having a lot more trouble learning them to begin with. So just make sure you have the right binds on, or if you do have powder or claw like I mentioned, feel free to use that, it will work well also. And then the next common thing I want to address about 90s that I think is always misunderstood, that people really are just not comprehending when it comes to doing 90s on controller or 90s on keyboard and mouse, is that if you're doing a proper 90, it's going to be the same speed. It's just going to be a way to move and build at the same time. So basically it's more of a movement with building involved. That's the best way to explain it. So if two people are doing triple 90s to the sky, they should reach it at the same time if they're both doing proper 90s. But obviously there's going to be a little hiccup when you start doing 90s. You're either run your wall or you're just going to misplace builds and not have proper timing on it. But just to let you guys know, if you're doing a full proper 90, it is going to be the same 90 that Ninja does, the same 90 that Tfue does, the same 90 that any pro does. They are all the same speed if you're doing them the correct way. Now, to start the live breakdown, the live tutorial on 90s, I'll hop into creative with you guys, I'll get on the live commentary, and I'll explain to you guys step by step what I'm thinking, and just the whole process behind doing 90s on controller. Right now, I am live and creative with you guys, and I'll show you some of the minute details that you need to learn just when you're starting, and just the fundamentals of where you should be standing when you do 90s. So you're going to want to start here with this ramp. So this is just going to be the easiest way to learn it, and just the first thing you need to get down in your head is that you need to be on the left side. You don't want to be hugging the left side like all the way over here. It's not that complex. It's not going to be that hard. Just stay like right around here. You should be good here, but you definitely don't want to be on the right side or the middle. That's an easy way just to mess it up if you're doing your 90s to the right, just because you'll go to place the building down like this and you'll get stuck underneath your ramp. So try to stay towards the left side, but not all the way on the left, because you will end up hitting the wall and slowing yourself down. The next thing I want to go over is just the order you need to be placing your builds down. So the first you want to remember is when you're going up to when you're putting the builds down is walls first. So I'll show you the way you do it. So just get your walls out, and the way I like to do it, at least the movement I take on my thumbstick, is I'll place this one right behind the ramp. I'll place that one down first, then the one above, then the one over connected. And keep in mind, you are turbo building all this. Just hold down R2. It's going to be a lot simpler. Just have your wall out and turbo build it. And then after that, this one right here. I see a lot of people sometimes will miss this one for whatever reason. They just kind of rush it and go like that and don't get the full movement in. Try to get this one at least off the start. That way nobody shoots you out, because that way you'd only be held up by 2 builds if you didn't have this one. So just keep in mind that you need to get this build off the last wall if you want to get a proper full 90 down. So once you got that movement down, you should be doing that while you're running. So it should look something like this, just as movement wise. So pay attention. It's going to be like a half circle motion, just like this. Boom. If you want to actually just practice this motion, I think it'll help you a lot if you want to just get the fundamentals and just learn it a little bit easier. Go up a ramp a couple of times, just like 10 times or so, and just do this exact motion right here. As you guys can see, I'm making the half circular motion with my thumbstick, and that's just going to be the easiest way. Get your sensitivity up a little bit if you can't reach it all the way for that last one. But yep, just like this, pretty simple. Don't mess it up like I did right there and put that wall down. But yeah, you guys get the point, but just get this motion down, and that's the first thing you need to learn. So once you have all this down, you're already running up, you should be about right here. Like I said, don't want to get too far because you'll run to the ramp, but you get like about right here, and that's when you already have turned, you already did the movement with the half circle, so you're looking this way, you already made the 90-degree rotation. The only thing you have left to do is just jump up, Get that floor down below you, make sure you get that down, just the extra support on the build, and then ramp up and look up. So it's going to be a pretty simple motion. If you guys are unfamiliar, I actually struggled a lot when I was learning 90s on my keyboard and mouse with the motion of looking up and ramping. So if you want to be able to practice floors and ramps together while you're looking up, I would highly suggest going in creative just like this when you're doing your 90s and doing stuff like this, where you look kind of dramatically, kind of over-exaggerate that movement down to get the floor, just so you make sure you're getting it down, and then look up and ramp up. And believe it or not, that's pretty much the fundamental of a 90. So if you haven't done one before, that should be able to help you just right there. If you've never done one, do it properly. Go slow with it, like I said, kind of learn it, learn the movements for what they are at first, and then it'll be easier from there, and you can start picking up the speed. And that's actually the next thing I will cover for you guys, is once you got the formation, the building should be going down, just the order it goes down in, and kind of the half circular motion, start doing 190 at a time. So don't go full speed if you can't. Pretty simple stuff, just like learn anything. You're not going to want to go full speed. It's just going to get really frustrating, and you just want to kind of learn it for what it is. So go pretty slow, if you can. Like, separate the movement. Try to learn it in 2 different movements. It is all one motion. You'll learn it over time. But if you learn it like this, the way I just taught you guys, at getting the floors down first, it's supposed to be a pretty smooth motion, and over time you'll learn how to do it all at once. But just to make it easier, I'll break it down into 2 parts like I just did. So once you master this part where you can put your walls down in front of you, pretty simple, and get that motion down, and then start ramping up, start doing it like this. And it's pretty simple, as you guys can see. I'm just doing it and then ramping out once, and just making sure I'm placing all my builds down. As you guys see, I literally just Harry Potter myself. I've probably done over 10,000 to 90s on controller, and I still mess up, as you guys can see. So it's part of the process. You only get better though over time and get more used to it. Now, once you got that fundamental motion down, you should be all good to go with the rest of it. And all it is from there is just learning the speed of it and just doing it slowly. Don't be doing triple 90s the first time you learn it like this. It's going to be pretty hard. And like I said, if you're not playing claw or paddles, make sure you have the right binds on. That'll make it a lot easier too for you guys. Alright, now once you got this motion down, you got the whole fundamentals, you broke it down into 2 separate parts, and you kind of learned it, you should be all good to go. What I'm going to suggest from there, though, is don't go into triple 90s like I've been saying. Do double 90s like this, and then just keep the movement going from there. Now, after you got all that down, you start and get the movement down a little bit, all it's going to come down to is just straight practice. So you're not going to be able to crank triple 90s like this off the rip unless you really just picked it up that quick. So remember, you're going to keep messing up. That's part of the process. You just got to be okay with it, because when it comes time to do it in game, you'll have all the mistakes out and you'll be able to do them properly. Now, the only real tip after that I can give you guys, if I'm being completely honest, is practice. Practice is going to make perfect with this. If I want to give you an estimate, just a time range, for me at least, if you really do want to learn 90s, haven't done one before, this is your first time ever, give yourself, just to be honest, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, 3 to 5 hours in creative. 3 to 5 hours. It's going to take some time. Don't do it in a row. Take a couple days at a time. Do like 30 minutes or whatever. But you should be able to do a 90 within a week if you haven't done it before. But yes, keep that in mind. You need to get about 5 hours in creative to get a proper 90 down, where you're going to be able to do it consistently in-game, and it's going to feel fine. And as you guys can see, my 90s, they are not the flashiest by any means. That just went up right there. But like, they go down, and I think they're pretty quick. They don't have any crazy movement or crazy shake like you would see in Mongrels 90s, but that's just the whole point. It's a just nice way to get high ground. It's a very easy way to continue your movement while going up and just basically get above people. That's the whole point of 90s. It's a pretty fundamental thing once you get down. I feel like once you learn 90s, you can kind of do whatever build you want, because you kind of taught yourself how to ramp up and keep ramping up while moving with your actual player. The only other thing I really think you guys should need to know with 90s, after you practice them, you get the fundamentals down, and once you practice, you should be all good to go. But what you're going to learn is that sometimes it's not going to be efficient to do 90s in this motion. I'm not going to suggest shaking it, just because it's unrealistic on controller, and it's just not going to be a smooth, fundamental 90 that's going to go down every time if you try to shake your screen like this or whatever. You definitely can do it, but it's not going to be easy if you're on console getting 30 frames. I am on PC with my controller, so it is a little bit easier to do the shake 90s like this, but don't do those. That's something that's going to be exclusive to PC and keyboard and mouse, because you just don't have that much control in the thumbstick. You're just going to end up messing up. But what I do want to teach you guys is that sometimes you're going to need to do it in a little bit of a different motion. Let's say you're coming up on this side, and there's a guy right over here. Per se, let's just hypothetically say that, and he's to the right and he's trying to spray AR shots. It's obviously going to be more logical, instead of doing the build all the way up here and coming around and having that be the last build, you're going to want to build to the right first. So you're going to want to kind of learn 90s like this in a little bit of a weirder motion. it's going to be a lot harder to get down. It's a lot different of a movement, but once you can kind of get them down like this and build your right and do them, it's going to be a lot easier once you're in scrims or actual competitive play, because you'll be able to block shots from either side. So if they're on the left, you can do 90s like this, and if they're on the right, you can do 90s like this, and it gives you a little bit of an advantage. That's the only thing I really wanted to include with the 90s, is just practice, and practice that there's going to be in-game situations where the simple 90 to the right won't actually work, so kind of learn how to do it in a little bit of different order, but that will come with time as you keep practicing. And that is going to wrap up the full tutorial on how to do 90s. I think I gave you guys some pretty good tips and just showed you how to break it down into 2 motions. I think that's the easiest way to teach anyone that's first learning it, because if you look at a 90 just off rip, it's going to look like a lot, and you're not going to want to attempt it because it really is a lot of movement at once while building. That's why if you break it down into 2 separate motions, getting your walls down first, and then from there jumping up with the floor below you and then the ramp above, it's going to be a lot easier and more fundamental. And I think, like I said, if you put just a couple hours in, 2 to 5, like I said, realistically, you're going to be able to do 90s. It's all about practice, just like anything in Fortnite. The more you play, more you learn, the better you get. I hope you guys really did enjoy this tutorial. Please let me know down in the comments what I need to improve on, what I need to add in, what I shouldn't leave in. Just let me know what I should have in these videos for you guys, because I do want to make a full series on just building tutorials on how to get better at building and just have faster builds in general. So please leave some suggestions what kind of videos I should make for the building series. Please let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a like on the video. You guys know the whole deal. See you guys later. Appreciate you guys a ton. Peace, guys.